Ah, so Chris asks, how do we come up with a story? And it's funny because my wife, when I was telling her I wasn't sure what I was going to do for this week's live stream, she said, "Well, why don't you do something on whatever your most popular YouTube video is?" And oddly enough, my most popular videos are about writing. And I was kind of like, well, I'm not the video that did that is popular about writing. That probably took about 2 weeks worth of planning. So, doing it on the fly during a live stream, particularly when I'm an artist, I may have to make sure I have something going visually while I'm doing it. But that is neither here nor there because that doesn't help you with your question. and of course, be showing polite courtesy. Chris also says, "Good afternoon," by the way, and good afternoon to you also, Chris. Thank you, I appreciate that. How do we come up with the story? Well, this is the interesting thing to me about writing. All of our difficulties about writing stem from us putting too much pressure on ourselves, myself included. I'm not exempt from that. I do it all the time. It's the reason why I haven't started putting out my next comic yet, because I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself in terms of the writing. But to say, let me take a step back. Your question was, how do we come up with a story? I would rephrase that as a question I've heard from a lot of people about how do we come up with ideas? Where do artists' ideas come from? And ideas are just thoughts. That's all they are. Now, I think the harder question, what you're really trying to get at, is how do we come up with a good story? Well, coming up with thoughts, I'm going to zoom the camera in. If the Zoom will work. The Zoom does not seem to want to work. All right, well, we're not zooming in then. Sorry about that. Oh, there we go. It zoomed out. Oh, there we go. So how do we come up with a good idea? Well, the same way that I work through, how do I get to a good drawing or a good figure drawing? I get to a good drawing by doing a bunch of bad drawings. So what you want to do is you want to start with just any idea. And the whole point is giving yourself the space and the freedom to have bad ideas, write bad ideas down, express bad ideas. And you just start with just a blank sheet of paper, but instead of having the blank sheet of paper, instead of it being intimidating, instead of it being like, oh, this thing is here, I don't know what to do, the cursor's blinking, instead just look at it as it's a space for your mind to just vomit. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've heard the expression of doing a vomit draft, but it's something that screenwriters talk about in terms of getting their first version of the story down, knowing that it's imperfect. And the same thing can be done with just story in general. You can just sit down and write like one or two sentences of, a monkey gets launched into space and develops telekinetic powers. A woman finds out her parents are actually monsters from another dimension. A robot gains sentience only to find out that all the other robots are planning to destroy humanity, and he wants to save it. It doesn't matter what the idea is. You just start creating a list of ideas and writing them down. And the whole point is that you want to keep it a short, simple 1-2 sentence description. And you write down ideas that a lot of them are going to suck. And in fact, when you have an idea and you say that's stupid, the ones that are the stupid ideas are the ones you want to write down. Not because those stupid ideas are good ideas or will turn into good ideas, but you'll have an idea that's ridiculous, but it's so different from anything you've come up with before that that you'll say, all right, I don't like this idea, but there's something here. And then you're like, all right, the sentient robots. What about if the sentient robot is like the first sentient robot sent to Mars? Instead of him destroying humanity, what if he's the first alien contact that humanity has is not with humans, but with a machine created by humans? And it becomes kind of like the story AI, but it's the robot going to another planet. And then you start doing a whole bunch of things about space exploration and artificial intelligence. Um, Not artificial intelligence, no scraping. Um, but you start with one of those ideas is going to have a kernel in it. And then what happens is even with that little kernel, that little piece that's interesting, you maybe write five more. Like I would start with like a list of at least 10 ideas. And it doesn't matter. The whole point is that you have to get 10 ideas on the paper, not that any of the 10 have to be good. Now, out of those, you may get one or two that sound interesting enough that you'd like, I'd like to see what this is or develop it further. And then you do the same thing again with that, just those two ideas, as you create like another set of lists of 10 and just write variations on that story. And then you'll get to one that you're like, oh, okay, I think I might actually want to write this or draw this. So that's my approach in terms of how to come up with a story. So the most important thing is when you're sitting down is not trying to make it perfect at the start, accepting that those ideas are going to be bad and knowing that you have to plow through a bunch of not good ideas to find something you want to do. So Chris, let me know if that is helpful to you, and let me know if you have follow-up questions.